Book of Shadows, issue number 1 from Valiant Comics. So yeah, this is a team up between Shadowman, Punk Mambo, Persephone, Dr. Mirage, and I can't even remember what this guy's name is. But yeah, as soon as Shadowman was mentioned, I was like, all right, I gotta check it out because I like the Shadowman character. I've read all of Valiant's Shadowman. I don't think I've read like the spin-offs or the team-ups he's done and other stuff, but I've read like the main runs. Some of them were really good, some of them not so great. The last one that came out last year was actually pretty good. I enjoyed that one. So yeah, I had to check it out. And so far, it's interesting. Let's get into it. So we start off with a party in Illinois, and all of a sudden a bunch of people get attacked. Like these giant werewolf-looking creatures with diamonds coming out of their bodies show up and start murdering everyone. Turns out these are hellhounds. So yeah, the hellhounds start killing everybody when all of a sudden Shadowman and Persephone shows up. So Shadowman, Jack Boniface, he is the he has a shadow Loa. So basically his job is to kind of protect Earth and keep everything from like on the dead side like intact, like keep the balance basically. We have Persephone, who, if I'm remembering this correctly, I mean the description they have here is a blight once part of the dead side, now reborn into a mortal body new to the world. If I'm remembering this right, Persephone was in the last Shadowman run, the 2021 run, and she, I believe, was the Loa of the dead side that was trying to take over Earth and basically merge the dead side with the living world. So she's like the personification of the dead side. And then Jack was able to defeat her, and she basically had like her mind erased. Like the dead side went back to normal, but the body still remained. And now she's just kind of like a blank mask. She doesn't have her memories or anything like that. And because of that, Jack sees her as innocent. Like he can't blame her for something she has no knowledge of. So he's now trying to work with her and keep her on the good side and use her powers for good. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's only been a year, but I've read so many comics and manga since that sometimes it's hard to remember everything that happened. But I believe that's the case with Persephone. So it took me a while because I was like, who the hell is Persephone? Another reason is because she looks different than she did in the last comic. But yeah, they show up just in time to save this little girl. Jack tries to fight off the hellhound, gets his ass kicked. Persephone is able to beat 3 of them at once using her powers. I was a little like, all right, that kind of I don't like seeing Shadowman get one-upped by his sidekick in the very first issue. I'm hoping it doesn't end up like, not the 2001, but I believe the one before that, 2017, 2018. There was a Shadowman. I did a video for it, where basically Shadowman is like constantly getting one-upped by his female sidekick in the first few issues, and it's just like, come on, man. Like I'm reading this for Shadowman. I'm not reading it for the sidekick. So I'm hoping this doesn't end up like that. But yeah, she uses her powers, gets rid of the hellhound, sends them to the dead side where the monsters there can feast on them. And then that's when Punk Mambo shows up and Dr. Mirage. So Punk Mambo is just an interesting character. She is a voodoo priestess. She was like the way you see her now was how she was back in the 70s. Like somehow she stopped aging, or at least it doesn't show. But yeah, she was around during the punk ages, and she's okay. I did read her little short mini series, and it was fine for the most part. Here she comes across as like super rude. Like she's constantly trying to pick a fight with Persephone rather than trying to figure out what exactly is going on. Then we got Dr. Mirage. I have no idea who Dr. Mirage is. It just says Ghost Whisperer, Magic Apprentice, and Celebrity TV Paranormal Investigator. Dr. Mirage might have popped up in a Shadowrun series. If so, I don't remember her. I think she's just like another Valiant character. Maybe she has her own series. I will say that that get up reminds me a lot of Iria from the Zram, Zyram movie. I can't pronounce for the life of me. It's a Japanese movie. It's a tokusatsu movie. Freaking amazing movie. Zeiram. I highly recommend checking it out. Zram. I believe there was 2 live action movies, and then it actually also got adapted into a anime series. And the main character, Iria, is a space bounty hunter who hunts down monsters. But yeah, the suit that Dr. Mirage wears looks very similar. The upper part looks very, very similar to Iria's suit. So yeah, basically they find out that there's this thing called, like, the creatures were talking about something like a dark feast in the Book of Shadows, and it turns out that these hellhounds are basically working their spells all over the earth. Like, they're just spreading out, and they're feasting and slaughtering people. And the slaughter is like a message. As they're slaughtering, they're weaving their well, not just slaughtering, but as they're slaughtering and moving around, they're weaving like incantations into the skin of the world. And I guess they're basically there's like another psychotic alien monster creature that's trying to force its way into their reality. And so they got to do a superhero team up to try to stop this. And Punk Mamba mentions one other character, the Eternal Warrior. I have no idea who the Eternal Warrior is. When I think the Eternal Warrior, for some reason I think of Michael Moorcock's series, but that's the Eternal Champion. I don't know who the Eternal Warrior is. I'm assuming another Valiant comic character. The only Valiant comic character that I know is Shadowman, Man of War, even though I haven't read, or I've read some of Man of War, but not too much. Like, if you would ask me if I am familiar with the character, like, I know of him, but I don't really know him. And Ninjak. I've read a little bit of Ninjak. I don't really know the character too much either. I wanted to get into Ninjak, but then like I looked at the interiors for the last series, and it is terrible. But yeah, so like the first half is Punk Mamba, Shadowman, Persephone, Dr. Mirage meeting up, trying to figure out what's going on. The second half is the Eternal Warrior fighting, and he comes across his old rival, and doesn't interest me. I have no interest in this Eternal Warrior character, so the second half of the series was boring to me. Like, I don't care. I kind of skimmed through it. If you enjoy the character, fine. But it also, like, the way that they wrote this issue, they wrote as if you're, they're assuming that you're somewhat familiar with these characters. I mean, yeah, they have like a small, brief little, like, bit of information on these characters, like the Eternal Warrior, Gilad, Annie, Pada, the Fist and Steel of the Earth, has lived thousands of years and has spent most of them fighting. That gives me like nothing on this guy. Okay, so he's an immortal that fights something. I don't know what he fights. So it's like that, where they give you a little brief bit of information, but not too much. So for me, like, I know Punk Mamba, I know Persephone, I know Shadowman. Don't know Dr. Mirage, don't know the Eternal Warrior. So the way that they portray them in this issue, they write it as if you should already know who they are. And I don't care for that, because I don't know who they are. So, I mean, give me a little bit more. Give me some information on who these characters are. Maybe do what some manga does, do what some old school comics did, where you have a bio on the very first page, and it's like, here are these characters, and here's their brief story. I like when series do that, because then I can jump right in. I'm like, okay, I know who these characters are. I can kind of get... I have no idea who the Eternal Warrior is, or Dr. Mirage. I have no interest in the Eternal Warrior, so I had no interest in half of this issue. First half was good, though. But yeah, so this is just one of those where I enjoyed the first half, didn't care for the second half. But that's my own personal, feelings about it, because I don't know who the Eternal Warrior is, and I don't have any interest in him. But if you're a fan of the Eternal Warrior, then I would assume that you won't have that same fault that I have. But other than that, like, art's good. I like the build up. I'm interested to see what they're going to be fighting. And, you know, I like Shadowman, so I'm glad to see more of him. Still don't care too much about his whole, like, face paint, skull morph thing. The rest of his outfit is badass looking, in my opinion. And I like the way, like, his powers and the scythe. And how, like, the scythe, like, when he loses it, it turns into ravens that come back to him. Like, that's cool. But just the face, it just looks weird. It looks like they're trying to do a little bit of morphing his face to look a little bit like a skull, but then also trying to do like a face paint thing. And I think it would have just been better if they just gave him like a skull mask. And not like a full skull mask, but just like the upper portion and his jaw is still like human. I think that would have been cooler. I don't know. I don't care for that design on his face, but it's something that they've been running with for years now. So it's not going to change anytime soon. But yeah, I'm going to just kind of rambling now. This is a tale of two halves for me. First good half, boring. Second half. I am going to keep reading it though. So we'll see how it goes from there. But there you go. There's Book of Shadows, issue number 1 from Valiant Comics. Yeah, it gets an average score from me because, like I said, good first half, boring second half. So it averages out to about an average issue. Don't know if I can recommend. If you like the Shadowman, if you like the Valiant characters, then yeah, check it out. There you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Tell me what you think, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.